How do we deal with moving from one company into the next without stepping on toes and getting sued?
One of the things I'm going to ask them to do is look at everything you signed for your employer or employers. And then within those documents, whether it be a handbook or, non-compete or non-solicitation or whatever it is that you signed, then we've got to look at that more closely and see, are there maybe certain notices that you have to give your employer before you head out and do something else? Are there things you want to make the new employer aware of? There's a lot there.
Welcome back, Action Takers, the After Hours Entrepreneur, where we are helping you book your first six-figure year. And today in the house, we've got Miss Kristen Corpion, the founder and operator at CORPlaw. And what does she do? Well, that's funny you ask. She helps small businesses, entrepreneurs, creative startups with legal needs, where business meets legal. This is going to be dope. This is going to be exciting. Kristen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I booked this meeting in my calendar ever since I got a chance to meet you at the OWL event at the Levant Center NSU. I was like, I got to get Kristen on the show. She's perfect.
I appreciate that. It was a great event.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jason does a great job.
Oh, yeah, Jason's the man. So I want to kind of go back in time before we start talking turkey, before we start talking specifics, all that technical legal jargon. You were working for a big law firm for a number of years. I just got to know, what did people say when you told them you're going to go out on your own and start CORPlaw?
I love that question. You're crazy. You're crazy. Suck it up. You're fortunate to have a job like this. So be grateful. It was very much the vibe of, I'm a millennial, so I guess that's getting old. But the vibe that I got was, rookie, you're lucky to have a job. Just stop complaining, rub some dirt in it. Shut up.
That sounds very familiar to me.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in the insurance industry for over a decade. That was my career, quote unquote. And there was a client that I had developed a lot of rapport with. He was a pretty successful businessman. And when I told him I'm getting out of that and going into production and media production and podcasting, he's like, Mark, you're crazy. The same thing.
Yep.
The same thing. So what did you do? What did you do, Kristen, to overcome those limiting beliefs?
I'd love to say that I told them all to shove it and I overcame those limiting beliefs right away, but I didn't. I went from the one big corporate environment to more of a mid-size environment, took like a mid-step, and realized then, still unhappy. It took me a while to figure out that I wanted to work for myself. I think everybody around me knew before I did.
What was that? What do you mean by mid-step? What did that look like?
A smaller company.
Okay.
Working for a smaller company before launching my own thing. Trying all the different porridges.
So I've heard entrepreneurship described a couple times like jumping out of an airplane and building your parachute on the way down. Was that what it was like for you moving into your own firm? Did you already have a base of clients? What was it like for you going out into your own firm?
I think that there are elements of that analogy that are apt for sure in the different things that we do as entrepreneurs. For me, I had brought one pretty large client to my last firm, and that was my business. I was working with them pretty fully, and I wanted to do more work with them, but my firm, people don't always know this. Even if it's your client relationship, if you want to do things that are outside of the firm's wheelhouse, usually you'll have to get the firm's approval. And this particular client wanted me to be like their general counsel. So in-house counsel, do all their work, but outsourced kind of thing, still at the firm. And so some of the things they wanted me to do were not in that firm's wheelhouse. And I went to my boss and I said, listen, this is okay. They're going to pay our fees. They're okay with it. They want to work with me. And I was told, no. So
They wouldn't let you take on that client.
They let me take on the client, but they wouldn't let me take on the work that was outside the scope of that particular firm.
Okay.
So I was in that position where this client wants to work with you. You want to work with them. You can either tell them no and refer the work to somewhere else, or do what I did, which is start my own firm with that one large client.
Gotcha. So what was that moment like where you walked out that door, outside that, I guess, tent, that safety net of a paycheck? What was that moment like for you?
So here I landed this client and we kind of committed to a year together. And
Okay.
so it was a month commitment. And I think at that point, this was like one more half step where I had one big client and I started my own firm, but I was really only servicing the one client, and with an agreed upon monthly rate that wasn't all that different than my paycheck.
Okay.
And so I worked with them for about a year. I loved it. I loved sitting in the role of general counsel. I love working with all the different parties in the business and then applying the law to it, crazy as that sounds. Then the company sold.
Ooh.
And that really, I still have a great relationship with the owner, but that really put me back to square one, where it's like, all right, are you going to grow a real business now with more than just one client, or are you going to go back to working for someone else? And that was really when the crap hit the fan, because I had to do what I had been putting off, which was really turn something that I was treating more like a freelance kind of a thing, one big client, outsourced, and really commit to, you got to grow this. I mean, if that's what you're going to do.
So I've got a couple questions, which I wasn't expecting to ask, but hey, that's why we're here. As entrepreneurs, things pop up all the time that we don't expect, which is one of the reasons why having an attorney in your cell phone is helpful. So a couple things here. Leaving from one job, one career into building your own thing, there can be problems there, non-disclosures, non-competes. How can we, because this is part one of the question, how do we deal with moving from one company into the next, into our new business without stepping on toes and getting sued?
Okay, so I would answer this question different for entrepreneurs than I would for a lawyer. So for certain industries like mine as an attorney, it is near impossible for your employer to restrict you from working from someone else. So non-competes for lawyers are a little different, because for lawyer relationships, the client has the power. So the bar doesn't restrict and stop a law firm from allowing their attorneys to go work from somewhere else, do their own thing. There's some rules. But so anyway, I'm answering out of context of what I would tell a lawyer asking me this question, because it's a little different.
Sure.
But if you're an entrepreneur, and we do work with our entrepreneurs on this, one of the things I'm going to ask them to do is look at everything you signed for your employer or employers. So is there a personnel handbook that talks about anti-moonlighting? So you can't have 2 jobs at once, 3 jobs at once, whatever it is you're doing. Is there a provision that says anything that you create outside of the business hours, but maybe with business assets or resources, like the company computer, the company owns? Sometimes folks don't know that. That can be really scary and dangerous. And then within those documents, whether it be a handbook or non-compete or non-solicitation or whatever it is that you signed, then we've got to look at that more closely and see, are there maybe certain notices that you have to give your employer before you head out and do something else? Are there things you want to make the new employer aware of? There's a lot there. Yeah. And the part that really got me scared was read what you signed. I'm like, really? I got to do that now? Yes.
I guess, again, part of the value of having an attorney, because it seems like to me, whenever I'm reading legal jargon, it's like a different language. Yeah. It's complicated. Okay, so that was part one of trying to get clarity on how you made that transition, right? The second question I had that you mentioned is you've got a contract signed for a 1-year commitment, right? What did that look like?
So again, contracts for lawyers are a little different than they are for others, but it is good to think about in general. Different industries have different restrictions. Same thing, contracts if you're opening a medical practice, different rules, higher regulation for different industries. So it's good for anyone listening to be aware of that, because entrepreneurs can be specialists as well. But so for lawyers, really, when we say a year-long commitment, for us, still the client has the power to fire the lawyer at any point. So it's more like, let's try to make this work for a year, but technically if you want to fire me, you can. For others, like let's say marketing company, I'm working with a company right now who's kind of in this position, and they are not lawyers. It's a marketing company. They had a 6-month commitment. 2 months in, the client stops paying. Yeah. So that's very different. But in that situation, if you're still working somewhere, you want to make sure you review all those rules that you might be bound by and that might apply in your industry before finalizing anything. Yeah. Sometimes the cut isn't perfect, right? I know that you've got folks who are maybe working for one job while doing something else. It happens. Your lawyer shouldn't be mad about that, right? They're your trusted advisor. You got to be honest with them. It's okay. But let's put some thought into how we go about it. So yeah, you do it right.
That's one of the big fears, I think, when trying to make that jump from day job, career, what have you, into this is my own business. I'm starting to build that parachute as I jump out of the plane. And I mean, looking back, would you have done anything differently other than leaning on that single client? That seems pretty scary to me, because if they fire you, then what do you do, right? What would you have done differently during that transition?
I think that's the single best question to ask entrepreneurs always. It's the question I ask. What I would have done differently, everything. Play all in faster. And I see this with my entrepreneurs all the time, and I get it. I call it entrepreneurial maturity. I've heard that before, and I've stolen the term because I love it. I think when you're still in that rookie place, and that has nothing to do with age, you kind of build this entrepreneurial skill set differently depending on what phase, of your life you're at and professional experience. But I think the rookie move is to try to do things on the cheap, to try to say, oh, I'm going to work, a full-time job, 40 hours a week. And most 40-hour-a-week jobs, we all know, are not 40-hour-a-week jobs. It's usually a lot more than that. And give a new venture the time, effort, energy it deserves is a really unfair thing to ask of yourself. And whenever you watch things like Shark Tank or whatever, you got like Mark Cuban asking, are you doing something else? Are you playing all in? I think it's such an essential question. And for me, I would have played all in faster. Even though I had a great, cushy one client, I think I was giving myself this narrative to feel comfortable, to feel safe, of like, oh, you're not really starting a law firm. So that I didn't have to address all of the many things I'd have to do as a business owner. I kind of gave myself that safe space. And I hear it all the time with entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Like, oh, if it doesn't work, no big deal. You're either all in or you're not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if the parachute doesn't get built by the time you hit the floor, you're in trouble.
It's all in as it gets.
Yeah. But I agree. I mean, I just left my job about 2 months ago, and since making that leap, since jumping out of that plane, the momentum has been unprecedented. All of a sudden, the clients started rolling in. The coaching program started rolling in. The coaching clients started rolling in. The group, the podcasts themselves are growing more rapidly. And it was definitely scary at first, because there was like about a two...
Scary. Not easy.
There were a couple of weeks where I was like, things aren't, I mean, I'm not going to say things weren't going. I'd already built the infrastructure, but, it took a little while. And then all of a sudden it was like, now I'm just like beating them off with a stick, which is a good problem to have.
Hire more.
Right. Well,
Great problem to have.
Yeah, and we just onboarded Ralph. Ralph, what's up? It's good to have you on the team, brother. But yeah, no, I agree. That's definitely a big thing with scaling. So the other thing that was interesting, Kristen, I've got a bunch of questions here, but one of the things that I really like about you, and one of the things that I had heard you say on another interview, was that you're trying to make law cool. Trying to make law cool, and there are, I think, a lot of industries they're just, I'm sorry, they're boring. I'm sorry. They're not very important, but maybe boring. I think, like accountants and insurance, not attorneys, they're very exciting. But I guess my question is this.
You can lump them in, it's okay.
What are you doing to make a boring industry cool?
Working with cool people, both our attorneys and our clients. So one of the things that we do as a firm is whenever someone new, a prospect, it's the right way to define it, but comes to us to do a consult or whatever it may be, we're actually ranking them on the back end internally on would this be an A or B fit for our firm. Mm-hmm. The answer might be different for a different firm, but for us, we're deciding whether or not we want to work with you because we want that long-term advising. And so if it's someone who's not cool, I would be happy to define that. For us, non-cool is somebody who's a jerk. Someone who's just so, bent, out of shape. I'll give you an example. We love to be in a shared co-working space or somewhere that's not stuffy. That's where our clients tend to be. That's where we like to be. Sometimes we've done a consult in a space like this, and a prospect says, this is... I won't give an exact quote, but, maybe this is too much fun for me. I want that traditional white shoe law firm feeling up in the clouds in an expensive building that you're essentially paying for. That's the vibe they want, and that's okay. That's their flavor of ice cream. Yeah. But we can kind of get a sense right there that we're not going to work well together. There's nothing wrong with you, nothing wrong with us, but long term, we're never going to be that. So we can't change. You're never going to stop wanting that. So that's not a good call. And then similar in terms of how we rank prospective candidates who are coming to work with us. If you are a very ego-driven lawyer, there's a lot of those, who doesn't want to learn new things and is not going to be okay getting feedback from someone younger than you or in the way that we give it in our firm, you're just not going to be a good fit with us, So maybe a different, more traditional environment would be better for you. But yeah, one of the ways we try to make it cool is by working with cool people.
Choosing the right clients, that's important. So let me ask you this, Kristen. Did you learn that the hard way?
Oh, yeah. When I first heard it as an entrepreneur, I'm like, that's ridiculous. I want all of the opportunity and, every opportunity to sell something I can get. And that's, again, rookie entrepreneur move. A more experienced entrepreneur will tell you willpower is of a finite amount.
Yeah.
And the amount of time and energy that you spend on a D or F client is just going to tank the willpower, the energy of your team, even though probably you're going to make the same amount as if you're working with A's or B's who, for us, they say thank you, they take our advice, they don't hate lawyers, It's a better dynamic for us, and my team's happy. And one of the things that's really important to me, and one of the reasons why I think lawyers in general are so unhappy, is I will protect my team from clients who are jerks. So I will fire a client if they're treating my team unfairly. Not to say that my team is always right. Sometimes we make mistakes. We'll fall on the sword. We'll make it right. But if it's an abusive relationship, that's just, I really do think it's the responsibility of the person at the top to set the boundaries. Yes, we are service providers. Yes, we want to be there for you, but we're also people. And so, important to me that my people are treated fairly. I take that really seriously.
I think that's a key to being a good leader, And
it's cool.
It is cool. Yeah, it is cool. It's cool to know that your boss has your back.
Yeah.
Because that's not always the case. That whole adage of the customer's always right can lead that could lead to some bad times. And I think that at least personally, as you get more experience working with more clients, that starts to become more clear. When I first kind of really started taking on clients for podcast production, media production, I was kind of like, oh, you want to give me money? Sure. You want money? Come on, let's go. But you kind of start to understand and see those red flags and maybe even set better expectations, right? So from a legal perspective, how do contracts and adjustments to contracts set those expectations on the front end? How important are those?
My answer might surprise you.
Okay.
Because my knee jerk is to say not at all, but let me explain. Contracts are great in terms of you should want a valid, legally binding document that's going to protect both parties in a relationship. But you have to, I think, from a business standpoint, not abdicate responsibility for having a human conversation. So even if I give you an amazing contract, by and large, most people don't want to read them unless they're lawyers. And so there might be really good stuff buried in there. But it's one thing for me to say, like, hey, Mark, sign this, and you just sign. It's another thing to say, hey, these are some of the tough things that I want you to know about working with our team. We're small. Sometimes that means projects are going to take us longer. I wanted to let you know that before we started working together and get your feedback. And if you're not okay with that, I had the hard conversation and rather than just burying it in a contract. So contracts are hugely important, but so too are the conversations that surround them. I don't think you can divorce the two. And we tell our entrepreneurs that, even though a lot of times they don't want to hear it.
Yeah, well, I can say that anytime I get an attorney involved, with clients, with potential team members, anytime someone sees a big contract, it's like, no, I'm out of here. And so I kind of try to, I'm trying to find this balance of when do I need to have a contract in place versus when is it more leaning on that human to human connection, right? So are there specific situations where it's like, Mark, after hours entrepreneurs, action takers, you need to have a contract for this. Otherwise, you're going to fall off the bridge. Anything that you can think of that we need to be like, this is when we need to have an attorney involved type of deal?
Well, is two answers. There's the legal one. There are certain contracts that must be in writing to be enforceable.
Sure.
For example, if we want to talk about selling some property right now, the oral agreement's not going to be enough. This is a legal answer. But in terms of the business considerations, a lot of times it's not a should. It would be great if you had a contract. If you don't, plenty of businesses operate without them. But the real goal of the contract, I like to think of it as a shield to protect the parties engaged in whatever it is the contract is meant to protect around. And it is a living document that evolves over time as the business grows, as you learn, this didn't work, I don't want this type of client, these types of complaints come in. Then if you're working with lawyers who know what they're doing, they're gonna update it. And you're not only gonna think about updating the document, you're gonna think about on the operational side, how do I have this conversation? Does it look like a better glide path, different videos, different onboarding for my clients or my team or whoever it is? So it's not so much a contracts we should have. Ideally, the ethos is as you're protecting your relationships, whatever they are, employment, client, assets that you have, you would want to do that with a valid written document. This is kind of like top shelf gold standard.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you don't have to have a contract. Like there's not a law saying if you didn't have a sales contract, then you failed. Really, the goal is to just think through, I call it the evil eye review, all the things that could go wrong, spell that out in the contract so that if and when a dispute arises, you can handle it knowing exactly what to do because the contract set it out. So it can be dangerous to, let's say, just rip a contract off of Google or, you don't otherwise know what you're doing. And then you're like, oh, well, I'm good because I got a contract. Well, then the reverse is true for you because if you don't know what it says, if you don't even know how to determine if it's legally valid, I have a 3-part test for that, then that's not helping you even though you have it. So it's not like a box to be checked. It's more a holistic analysis, both law and business operations combined.
What do you
and
mean?
Human.
What do you mean by three-part checklist or 3-part questionnaire? Is that what you said?
I don't even remember what I said now.
Well, you said like an onboarding checklist or questionnaire with 3 questions on it for potential clients to identify.
No. I mean, in determining whether or not you need a contract or want a contract,
Gotcha.
You'd want to consider all of the above: the legal requirements and making sure that it's legally valid, the business operations. So, for example, what you mentioned about clients not wanting to sign a big contract to get going. This tends to be true.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we do, since we're very business focused, is we will update the way that we write the contracts, sales contracts in particular, so that we invert the material terms. So I'm saying it a different way, like how much it cost, how long we'll work together, scope, which lawyers tend to bury at the back of a document. We put it up front, and we try to get it on one page, and then we will incorporate by reference the bulkier terms that you need to protect yourself onto a website, like terms and conditions. So they're not hidden. It's not an attempt to hide any info. The client could click it and look at it. Most of the time, they don't want to. And so it's a really nice way of combining law and business operations goal together. So you're still protected, but you're not scaring away your prospects with a 100-page agreement, which honestly made a huge difference for me when I did it for myself.
I'm sure. Yeah, the huge legal contracts, it scares the crap out of me because, I mean, we all know nobody reads them. I'm sorry, we don't. I signed up for a gym recently, and it was like, sign this. It must have been 50 pages just to work out for $10 a month. And anyway, long story short, my wife had signed up as well, and it just wasn't working out. Like their kid hours weren't there, and so she wasn't going to be able to work out there. She has her own gym, and so we went in to cancel, and he's like, "Well, let's look at the contract." And he's like, "On page 75, it says without a 30-day notice, you're subject to this fee and this fee." I'm like, "So, bro, you're going to rake us over the coals for $25?" Because it says something on page 75. Like we talk about the human to human, like you're shooting your business in the foot, for $25. It's like big picture stuff here, We ended up asking to speak to the manager, quote unquote. No. And so we were able to fix it. So we were able to get a full refund back, no problem. That was great.
But for that context, the way it works for actually creating a contract for your business is that it should be collaborative. So the lawyer is going to put together a bit of a shell with kind of wish list items, things they know, the law, and then you're going to help them take it from there. For example, notice on cancellation. What do you want? Do you want 60 days? Do you want 90 days? I can write it to be anything. And so if you're maybe getting a lot of pushback and complaints from clients, then maybe you alter it. It's a living document, so you can make it 10 days or 1 day or whatever makes sense operationally.
Right. So what's the expectation as far as budget that goes with something like that, as far as September of 2022 goes? Like what's the expectation for a budget? Like a small business owner, I'm looking to build up some contracts, looking to work with different clients. What's a ballpark as far as price goes?
So it's going to depend on market.
Sure.
That's got to be in there. If you're in a bigger market, it tends to be more expensive because it costs more for lawyers and law firms to operate there. And so usually you're going to be at some level restricted or need to pay consideration to the rules of where you're at. So if you're doing business in Miami, not that you couldn't work with lawyers in a different place, but perhaps you'd want someone who knows about, you know, the local regulation here and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Even though Miami's a more expensive market than, you know, let's say Middle America or somewhere else where it might be a little more cost-friendly.
Lakeland or Jacksonville or Naples or something like that.
Yeah. And then on top of that, there's going to be a spectrum based off of experience and brand. So if you're at one of those big firms like the one that I started with, believe it or not, they've got a reputation and brand that they earned. So like, you know, Chanel clothes versus, I don't know, some other less expensive brand.
Sure.
The charge is different.
But I mean, as a young entrepreneur, we're probably not going to, you know, the biggest. I'm not saying that we wouldn't, right? But, you know, if I'm trying to get that six-figure mark, I'm going to have some contracts in place. I really feel like. Yep. So, I mean, are we talking, you know, $1,000 per contract? Are we talking $5,000? I mean, I know this is kind of a loaded question too, so I'm sorry. I'm just trying to give an idea to the audience out there. Like, what ballpark should we be in?
I think what would not hit my ears in a way that sounds like the cost is too low, it's probably not being done right.
Yeah.
Sounds like a few $1,000 at least.
Yeah.
I would say like $2,000 to $3,000 per contract, or if maybe you're doing ones that are similar, that are kind of easy to roll in together, $2,000 to $5,000 investment sounds to me about right. Maybe you find someone charging a bit less, maybe you find someone charging a bit more. But if I'm hearing, and one of my team members literally just came into my office and said this, he's learning our intake system, and one of the prospects said, I found a lawyer who can do it for less. We get that all the time. I'm sure you get that too. It's okay. It's, you know, it's part of the process. And one of the things that we train on and that I love about just sales as a concept, I'm obsessed with sales, I think it's a superpower, is, you know, take your ego out of it. It's not about us. This client's ability to pay what we charge, we still just want to help them. And that's what I explained to my team member. Like, even if they can't afford to hire us right now, or even if they did find a cheaper solution, I know my market. I know what it costs to produce legal services, and it is expensive. If I, with that experience, am hearing something and hearing it sounds like the numbers are off, either you got a lawyer and law firm that doesn't know what they're doing, and so eventually they're going to go bankrupt, so they're not going to be helping you for very long. Or, you know, maybe you found someone doing a favor, or you got someone who's probably going to be doing it wrong, at which case we want to leave the door open. Plenty of times we have people go and come back when they can make the investment, or they had a bad experience or whatever. Doesn't offend us. But there are certain numbers that would sound wrong to me, like, oh, you know, on Legal Doom, $20 an hour.
Yeah.
And maybe you found it, and maybe you feel like you're winning, but
it's risky.
It's risky, and it's your business. So how you decide to invest in protecting it's up to you. Like, what's your health to you? Well, this is the health and protection of your business. And I really think it goes back to that mature entrepreneurship. You can cut the corners. I try to do them myself. I mean, I totally get it, which is why it doesn't offend me when clients do it. I try to be my own bookkeeper, set up all the QuickBooks accounts. It's like the worst week of my business. I hate it. And
I'll high five you there.
This is the worst. And that's you trying to be cheap when I really should have been spending that time, right? Pay a little money to find. And honestly, my bookkeepers, they love it. They send me little messages. I saw a $20 charge on your account. Is it accurate? And they're excited to tell me that. And that's great. They're doing what they love. And I should be doing what I love. So
Yeah.
it's not the highest and best use of your time to do the things that save you money.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and, listen, we have a bunch of equipment set up here. Let me tell you something. On this journey, have not always bought great equipment, right? You're starting up. You get a cheap mic, cheap light, cheap this. It doesn't always work. And I'm hoping, I'm knocking on wood that everything is working now. It seems like it's working.
It looks really nice. So.
Yeah. But that's part of the deal, I think. If you're trying to buy the cheapest everything, it's not obviously optimal. Kristen, I want to go back to something you'd mentioned earlier, something that your firm CORPlaw does differently than others, and that's putting expectations and deliverables at the top of the contract rather than buried in the contract. Yeah. So I think that's really interesting. And I was talking to Sean Fallon about this a few weeks ago on the show, and he had mentioned that like transparency is becoming incredibly important. And sometimes I'll have conversations with my father, with entrepreneurs from previous generations. They don't see transparency as important as I think the new generation does. How important do you think transparency is for young entrepreneurs?
I think there's a way I would answer the question personally, and I think it's very important. But then there is, when you're a legal advocate, it's our job to represent the client, to almost step out of ourselves and say like, hey, I wouldn't necessarily do this, but I'm here as your hired gun.
Sure.
I'm here to fight for you. And so the way we look at it is a spectrum, and we try to get a sense of the client profile. So are you that client who wants transparent everything, and that's just your ethos, the way you run your business? Or are you that client who maybe doesn't want to do it that way? It's our job. It is the role of the lawyer, to do things the way you want them.
Because it can be a little dangerous being too transparent, is what you're saying?
In some instances, maybe, depends on the business. I'm trying to think of an example where that could be true. Some instances, so listen, when I started my career, I was a litigator. So in court, handling business disputes, seeing what the side of contracts when things go wrong and people have to fight on it, which has actually been hugely instructive for me in how I advise clients now to avoid that place. But as a litigator, you think of every piece of writing and how it can be used against your company as evidence in a universe of hypothetical bad scenarios. And in some of those situations, transparency down to an apology could be, up in front of a jury showing how you screwed up. So the considerations sometimes aren't you being immoral, but it's like, listen, this is one of the landmines we might have to walk over. And this is some of the reasons why people hate lawyers, because they have to think like that to protect the company. For those reasons, maybe for you might not want to be so transparent. Interesting.
That's not exactly where I expected that answer to go, but it makes perfect sense. It makes a lot of sense. And that's why I love bringing on experts like Kristen Corpion here from CORPlaw, is because we have this belief that we just share everything. We put it all out there, but there might be some things that you need to keep close to the chest, right? So Kristen, one of the things that you are big into is teaching, right? Adjunct professor, various boards. And so I'm kind of wondering here, one of the things that's really helped my business is not necessarily just having big ticket offers, right? Not just doing podcast production and not necessarily just doing podcast launches, but doing group coaching, group events, things like that. Is that something that actually fits into the business that you're in? Do you think that low ticket offers, group courses, teaching, do you think there's a way to generate income off that? How are you applying that in your business?
I love this question. I do think there is a way, but there is red tape. So the legal industry is a highly regulated industry. You ever seen a lawyer commercial on TV?
Yep.
They're all like terribly boring. It's okay. Right? The Florida bar, for instance, has like 100-page guide on marketing no-nos that if you violate, you could lose your license. So that's what I mean just by sample of red tape. There's certain things. Even, for a show like this, if you were to ask me, it hasn't come up yet, but a specific legal question about your business, I might have to give you a bar-infused disclaimer.
Yeah.
I am not officially your lawyer, and this is not legal advice for everyone listening. it pisses most people off to hear it, but I could lose my license that I worked my whole life to obtain if I don't follow these kind of archaic rules. And so, one place where group coaching runs into an issue for my industry is that usually in a coaching context, you're there because you want specific advice from me.
Yeah.
You don't want to overgeneralize. You say, like, this is my problem. I paid to be a part of this because I want you to answer it. And if I then respond with a neutral, can't do that here for you now,
it doesn't really help.
It breaks the vibe. And I totally respect coaching programs. I think they're great. I'm in some of them myself. But there are just some limitations for highly regulated industry when it comes to building out those offerings. I don't think they're insurmountable. They take a lot of creativity. Definitely, though, we can give educational offerings in a general sense, which we do and which we're strategically building out. I was actually recording one earlier today. We're doing a course on co-founders and partners, working with people, things you should be aware of.
Cool.
Checklists, documents, because we get that question all the time. Like, we're teaming up, how do we protect ourselves? I think there's huge opportunity there.
So you're building out a course. So I can
a lot of things.
Yeah, I could pay, whatever, $1,000 and I get to watch the videos and get the checklist. That's very cool.
Yes.
I like that a lot. Is that something that's being done much in the industry now? I know it's very popular in the coaching world and the podcasting world. I don't think I've ever heard about it being done in the legal world.
To some degree, yeah. If you follow different law firms, which usually is not the sexy thing to do, on social, you'll see some folks try to get it up and going. It doesn't always work, or maybe there's not a lot of interest. So I think you really got to put the effort behind marketing. And I think in general, there's a culture right now where there's so much content. Sometimes you don't look for it.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense, though. If clients are coming to you and saying, hey, I have problem A, right? And you say, well, you can hire me for, from one-on-one, it's whatever, $10,000, it's $5,000. Sure. Or, it's funny you ask, I have an entire course set up, it's $799, and you can get all the answers and worksheets that you need there.
Yes, and then maybe a discount if you want to get to that upgraded place after you consumed all that content and decided, maybe you trust us a little bit and you're ready to. Otherwise, you'll walk away feeling good that you know a bit more than you did before. I see the opportunity there. I just want to make sure we're not violating any rules, that it's, a profitable interchange for us, and that it's the type of thing that's going to add value to our clients. So we are actually rolling them out now. We are testing them on current clients who've already signed up with us. That's one of the things we do with our clients whenever I come up with something creative. Hey, opportunity for free for you to check out our new stuff and butcher us with your feedback, and they usually appreciate it. So
no, I think that's super cool. Very smart. One of the things that I think, and I wrote an email out to my email list, this is what empowered me to leave my job, was not just selling high ticket offers, but was thinking up low ticket offers to get the first dollar from someone, get them into my ecosystem, build up the know, like, and trust, give them some quick wins, which can turn into huge wins in the future. A lot of the people that I have in my high ticket offers started out with a low ticket offer, and I think that's something that every business owner should be thinking of, because we're always trying to chase that white whale or charge more. But I think sometimes finding solutions that are scalable, like courses, groups, checklists, things like that, I think it's a really good way, especially when you're in an industry where it can be feast or famine. There are times where it's like I have too many clients, and then there's months where it's like, where are they all?
Sure.
But if you have a low ticket offer, it smooths out your cash flow.
Oh yeah. For law firms in general, they tend to be expensive to run, and they don't usually yield exceptional margins. Maybe if you're at 3x, that's good, that's healthy. Anything lower than a 3x, probably not so healthy. I think a lot of people think lawyers, law firm, they're
I would think it's all profit.
But it costs a lot to produce, down to the talent, what lawyers are paid in terms of a salary, because they're, white collar professionals with an advanced degree who kind of need to earn that back. So they're expensive, and then the client pays that on the back end. But also the systems that we need, the software, it is expensive, and it is very labor intensive. It's not templatizable all that much when it's done correct. So that being the case, a lot of law firms are going to start with the the white whale with the bigger ticket kind of clientele. And that's a bit of what we did. And it's always been important to me to focus on the avatar, which is small business. And to the point where pricing them out, it doesn't feel good to me as the owner. And so now that we're in that place where we're a bit more healthy, I can allow that creativity to flow, test some things, try those lower ticket offerings, and it feels exciting to be in that place as an entrepreneur. It really does.
Well, I'll tell you, I've been thrilled to have you come in and share these tidbits of information and sharing your story. I want to get to the rapid fire, so don't go anywhere. The rapid fire is coming. I hope there's no seatbelts on these chairs, but the rapid fire is coming. But it's really cool to see your meteoric rise, really making really taking a bite out of Miami here. And so, yeah, I want to get into the rapid fire here, but where's the best place for us to connect with you, Kristen?
Yeah, so follow me on LinkedIn. I am pretty active there. Instagram, any social media account that I have, you connect. I'm happy to connect with you. Our website, www.corplaw.us. If you feel like calling us, we tend to work with modern clients. They don't tend to call us, but you could give us a call as well, or shoot us an email. Shoot me an email, kristen@corplaw.us. I am very reachable.
Boom.
Yeah.
There it is.
If you're looking for that free content, we're going to be rolling out those courses soon. So.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Super cool. I'm very interested in that. That sounds like something that could be helpful both to me and all the after hours entrepreneurs out there, all the action takers taking action. All right, cool. Kristen, you ready for the rapid fire?
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm excited.
What is the scariest movie you've ever seen?
Movie? Oh, that's a good one. And I know it's rapid fire, but I don't usually watch scary movies, so I don't have a knee-jerk response. Maybe, I don't know. And this is an old movie now. It's a classic, and it's an amazing movie, but it definitely did freak me out with Silence of the Lambs. So
ooh,
it's phenomenal acting, but I remember watching it when I was young. I don't know.
Yeah, that's not a, yeah. That's a good one.
Not really kid-friendly.
No, not kid-friendly, but excellent. Okay. NFTs, overrated, underrated?
Fairly rated.
Fairly rated.
Can I create my own answer? I don't agree with the view to write off NFTs, the underlying tech, at all. Educate yourself. Maybe this isn't the area of advancement that you need for you. I don't agree with poo-pooing it. I don't think that's fair. And so I think fairly rated, educate yourself, make sure you're not, getting in bed with fraudsters or people who are just going to screw you over. But really that applies to everything. So
do you think NFTs help or hurt the legal industry?
I don't think the legal industry is going anywhere. And so there's a lot of fear mongering around AI taking our work or, other things, stopping what lawyers do. I don't think that's true at all. I think tools and tech and creative advancement help the lawyer do what they do more effectively. But you cannot divorce the law from society at large. Business, people interacting with one another. We could take history back pretty far, and people need to figure out how to govern themselves. So lawyers aren't going anywhere. Yeah,
certainly not. NFTs are going to bring up all sorts of questions, but that's probably for another episode. If you could be any animal, what would you be?
I'm going to go with shark just because it fits for lawyers.
All right, a shark. Kristen, a shark, in Miami. Yes. I like that. So speaking of Miami, where's the best place to eat down here?
Ooh. Personal favorites for me include a spot on the beach called Drunken Dragon. This Asian fusion kind of speakeasy style that I love. It's phenomenal. I also love Fleming's in general, but I'm at the one in Brickell pretty often. I love their not on the menu burger, which you can get at the bar. I think they do a great job, and they have great customer service out here. There's a lot of places in Miami that claim to do luxury but don't necessarily do it well, or are a little uncomfortable to be at, but I think Fleming's does an awesome job. And then there's a spot downtown that I love, Pollos y Hadas, Peruvian. It's phenomenal.
Pollos Piscadas.
Y Hadas.
Yes. Yeah, that's about as Spanglish as I get.
Highly recommend that place, but a lot of good eats out here.
Cool. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Cuban food that is my jam. If you were getting on an airplane, you could sit next to anybody. Who would you want to sit next to?
So I have a bit of a business crush on Barbara from Shark Tank.
Oh, yeah.
I follow her, and I just feel like, she's older. She doesn't joke about that, but or she's not shy about that. She jokes all the time. But to kind of look at how she's grown her business, and at a time where, women were even less prevalent in the workplace where they are, is very inspiring. But I like that she's at a certain age in life and just level of success outwardly. We all define that differently, but she seems unassuming, and I like that she seems happy, irreverent, doesn't take herself too seriously, and so I would love to just...
Yeah, Barbara's awesome.
Yeah.
One of the cool things about that is I think a lot of young entrepreneurs start their journey so that they can retire and just hang out on a beach at age 50. But as you start getting into the rhythm and building a momentum, you kind of get into this point like Barbara where you never want to retire.
Yeah.
You just want to go.
So much energy.
Yeah, it's like, when I first started... when I got into this, I got into it because I hated Mondays. Mondays are the worst. Just look at the ceiling and be like, oh my gosh, I got to wake up. But now it's like, I don't like Fridays. I'm like, I could have gone so much. It's Friday already? No. I got to go.
Actively work to not work.
Yeah.
Constantly creating, doing. Even when I take a break, then I get into a chill place, which makes me excited to start creating again.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, final question here for you. If you had 10 seconds with yourself 10 years ago, what would you say?
I would say something along the lines of, there is no door that is closed to you. So the younger version of myself was very focused on doing it right, whatever that means. There is no right. There is only your goals, what you're aiming for at the time, your experience level, even if you do it wrong. Young Kristen, it is okay. You're learning to get to that next place. Be a little nicer to yourself.
I love that. Kristen, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks so much. This was great.